rock me all night long. So rock me now, baby. Rock me all night long. I want you to rock me now, baby. But my poor back ain't got no bone. Roll me, baby, like a wagon wheel. Roll me, baby, like a wagon wheel. I want you to roll me now, baby. Ah, 'cause it makes me feel. Rock me, baby. Ah, rock me, baby. Rock me, baby. I want you to rock me now, baby. Got my poor back ain't got no bone.
Okay, Newton Collier. In this little segment, I'm going to talk about my accident that happened up in Boston when I got shot. I was working at a club called the Sugar Shack, which is downtown Boston Street, Boston, Massachusetts. And they were working under Rudy Guarino, and he was the owner of the Sugar Shack. They had a couple of more clubs also. My job at the Sugar Shack was actually auxiliary horn man. I helped them in the back room, helped with a lot of the finances and playing the band off and all that kind of stuff. And each week, the Sugar Shack had named bands that would come in. I would give you an example. Temptations would come in this week. Next week would be maybe Slide and the Family Stone. The next week would be maybe Tavares, which was basically Tavares at that time had only one record out there was considered a local band. And then maybe the week after that would be somebody like Joe Tex, Sam and Dave, Arthur Connolly, Wilson Pickett. Those are week to week to week. We had one night we would be closed. That night sort of fluctuated, sometimes mostly a Monday night. But you start on Tuesday, go straight through to Sunday most of the time. And so one night I got off from work about 2 o'clock in the morning. Club closed at 2, about 2:30. I'm on the road coming back home. I've done what I had to do in the club. And I'm coming up Boylston Street. I get in my car, which is parked back on the backside, going toward the house. I don't pay attention. I don't see nobody watching me, so I drive off. I get near Humboldt, which is about 3 miles going down the road, going to Roxbury. I noticed a car was behind me. So I decided, I said, I've seen that car before. Something told me to take a side street, so I did. I took a side street and went off. And I came off on the other end, there was one of the parks I knew about. Then I saw the car go across in front of me. I said, whatever it is, they gone. And the next thing I know, I come back out, get back on my main route, get about a quarter mile down the road, that car is back on me at my tail again. This time it's speeding up to me. And so I decided I would just get out the right lane and get in the left lane to let them go by. And that's when the only thing I heard was a shot. Pow, pow, like that. I think it maybe, I heard 2 shots. But I was out like a light then. They shot me right in the side of the face. The bullet came through the headrest, which helped block some of the bullet, but it also caught me on the side of the face. Now, about it being 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's loud outside, I'm quite sure. And I guess someone heard it. That was a guy that lived in an apartment unit near where I was. I actually stopped the car and he heard the shot and he was getting his baby, a newborn baby evidently, some milk, and he was in the kitchen. And he looked out the window and saw what was happening. This is the guy that took me to the hospital and gave a phony name, phony address, and everything. But I eventually found out who he was by other people telling me they had seen the car. They told the police, after the police came and checked out everything, who the guy was. I stayed in the hospital unconscious for over 24 hours, I believe. I lost a day or two. But they told me, the doctor told me, Dr. Siegelman told me that he had his finger basically in my throat to keep me alive for about an hour. And the bullet was so tough, it was a 38, they believed, but it had smashed down. My face was so strong from playing those horns that it actually crushed the bullet. They had to cut open and peel me back like a banana. And I couldn't talk. My head was bigger than a watermelon. My brother got there from Seattle, Washington, the next day or two, as I was lying up in the hospital. I knew nothing about it. I was unconscious. And then when I did come to, my brother was already there, and 2 brothers were there. The other brother got there the next day or two, and so I had to stay in the hospital. So I want to thank Rudy and them for helping me out. Whoever shot me, they tried to get my bill for, but I think too many people were coming out of their houses at the time. They drove on off. And they knew who I was because I had my mother's address and telephone number. All that just coincidentally happened to have been in my billfold, so they could communicate with everybody. And that's how my family found out where I was so quick. And they got a hold of them, and they got there. My brother went to the house. I think about it now. I said that was a good deal. Rudy had somebody go and stay in my house, and they were sitting up there with a gun in the house, thinking somebody coming in. And everybody came to that house. They were on like white on rice. They were giving them the third degree. They would let them actually come to the doorstep. And then they would appear, and they just came out with the guns, basically on someone. And they never found out who it was. But people coming looking for me, really. And I had some friends that lived down the street. They were wondering what was happening, so they told them. And the news in the neighborhood spread. Within 2 days, everybody knew what had happened to me. They were coming to the hospital. And I woke up. When I woke up, I had a couple of flowers already sitting in the room, and people coming wanting to know was I going to be all right. And one of the little ladies had just left, and I was still unconscious. They said he was going to be much better. He was getting better and everything, but I couldn't talk. So it took me a long time to figure out who I was, because I was so doped up. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know really who was who. And my brother was there. He was trying to see, could I write down who did it and all that. I said, I couldn't. I don't remember half of what he said, I'll be honest with you. But after being in the hospital about 2 weeks, they started doing graft work on my face. And I used to take a mirror and just look at it and just start crying, because I knew that I was a horn player. And I wrote down, will I ever be able to play a horn again? And the doctor said, forget the horn, you may not be able to talk. We're going to work on that. And that's when reality set in of what had happened. I didn't know whether to just give it up. No, I said, no, I can't give it up. But I had plenty of time to think about it, because I'm lying there with tubes all over me. They were intravenously feeding me, and I'm still bleeding from the accident. So I'm looking at all this stuff, and all the nurses and everything doing different things to me. And I'm saying to myself, what in the world did I do to deserve all of this kind of crap? And I stayed in the hospital this time around. I stayed there about 2 weeks, maybe a month, almost a month, because they didn't want me to go home after they operated on me and anything like that. They took me back to my room, and they changed me to a couple of more rooms. And I guess as I was getting better, I was going from one room to the next. And one day I did look up, and Rudy was sitting down in the chair just looking at me. He didn't know, I don't think he knew what to say, he was just looking. And I wrote down the pad, how are you? And he said something to the effect, well, at least your mind's still with you, that's good. And he told me, he said, you have a job, hurry up and get back to work. And the way he said it, I knew what he meant. He didn't know, he didn't have anything, he didn't know what to say. He was just looking. He told me, he said, I met your brothers, I met your family, and everything, and your house is very well protected. My brothers had told me I must have been some kind of undercover man, because my house was very secure. And I had a neighbor, I had a rental house. My neighbor was in and out my room all the time, telling me what was happening, and I don't remember too much about all of that, because my mind was nowhere near that. I was worried about would I be able to talk or anything like that. And so after that, it took about 6 weeks. I'm still hanging around, not being able to talk. So now I can go home after about 2 months. So after about 6 weeks, I was lying there in the hospital. They brought me in. They did another procedure up under, I don't know, but they did something up under there. They grafted me again. And they told me that they might have to take out the rest of my teeth on that side, because the bone structure was totally destroyed on that side. And so they were telling me about a plastic, maybe a metal jaw or something like that, which they did put in. And it's tied to one of my nerves. I had lost 7th, 9th, and 11th nerve. All of that's gone. And as of today, it's still gone. The only thing I know is I can punch in like this, and I don't feel anything except skin that's actually over it. And they sewed me back up again with this graft piece in it. And they had set me up for a voice box. And I had to cut open here. So I'm lying there recuperating. And all of a sudden, I tried to talk, and I said something, and the nurse turned around, and she ran and called the doctor. And the doctor came in, and he came in a little while later, and I was lying down on that bed, and he said something again. I did. And he said, uh-oh, we might have to cancel the voice box. And I'm glad they did, because here I am talking about it today, and that's when I realized I'm going to make it. Before, I didn't know whether I was going to live or die. And so I want to thank a lot of the people. Oh, I like this outside. You can get the walls out here, too. Nature, I love it. It was just a little bit after that they told me to just start seeing. Dr. Siegelman told me to just start coming to my office. And I was going there 3 times a week, and each time I go, he was an oral surgeon also. I didn't know that. He was doing muscular surgery on me from in and out basis from his office. He'd always bring me home. I would always go in around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll sedate me, and I'll wait about 3 o'clock. It took about an hour for all that to work, and then they clamped me open, and then they started doing their work. And they also were monitoring the progress on the growth of an inborn bone they had put into my face. They took a bone out my leg or hip or somewhere and tried to put it in there. See, they make this side regenerate itself. It did to a certain degree, but then they came up. Then all of a sudden, I was telling them I was hurting over there. And then they went in there and they X-rayed it, and they said that I was growing bone like a baby grows. I was really, at my age, I shouldn't have been growing a bone like that. It had actually connected back up with another bone in my body. They let me know that the body can heal itself, so I did exactly as they had told me. At that time, I was really a good meat eater, so I couldn't eat meat, chew anything, so I lost weight, yes, and that was a rough time. I hate pureed food now because I had to have it pureed. I was on Sustacal, which was a substance a day, and it was like a high protein liquid milk. You can get it over the counter now, but at that time you couldn't get it that much. It was costing me a fortune, but they had a way of substituting that. And I was drinking like 5 or 6 cans each time around, trying to get myself full. Then the doctor told me, he said, it's not the idea you're getting full, it's the idea you're getting vitamins and nourishment into your body. So I started getting into a lot of vegetarian type, healthy eating type thing. I had no choice. I couldn't chew. And I couldn't eat. My mouth was actually wired up now. I'm actually wired up for almost a year. I still had teeth, but I was wired up. And I had been all around. I couldn't open my mouth. I could talk, but it was all you hear was a mumble because they had me wired up so. And now I'm beginning to feel all this healing up. All the throat part was healing up. And I would take a swallow, just a normal swallow, and I basically could feel it going down. That was an odd feeling. Every time you drink something, to actually